Hey guys, it's Maroon6 here, and revealing what I'm doing this weekend with the Colossal Research is I'm actually going to be in Disneyland. And I was already going to be in the area visiting some friends, so I figured why not go to like a big landmark to do something that's like the equivalent of like a Pokemon Go Fest, hopefully scale event. So tune in for that, that'll be coming up. But more importantly, what's going on right now, we're just on the cusp of ending Sinister Cup and we're going into the new Ferocious Cup. I'm going to go into how I've been approaching the Ferocious Cup so far with like how I'm approaching I'm going to go into how I've been approaching this early meta that's kind of developed, my impressions of the cup as a whole, my predictions for how the meta will evolve over the whole month, and my advice of how you can be ahead of all of your competitors. So as we are looking at this early meta, my first biggest thing, do not treat PvPoke and people's meta simplified guides as law. PvPoke, for example, has even changed their simulations or changed their ratings of simulations if you're looking at the ranking tiers, I believe 3 or 4 times already. Suicune was at the top, and then it was some other things, and then now it's Umbreon. So do not just take what PvPoke is giving you and just say, oh, that's the number one pick. Umbreon's the number one pick, have to bring it. So take that into account. Now, because the Silph League comes out with these cups and releases it 2 weeks early, it's really easy to get super excited, spend a bunch of stardust, but especially if you're free to play, you know, you're not popping a bunch of incubators, you don't have unlimited star pieces, you don't have hours and hours to grind. It's important to make sure that you're staying reasonably low budget in these first couple weeks. Especially in this cup, there's a lot of things in the wild that you'll be able to catch, whether it be like Bidoofs or Sentrets that you can catch at high levels or catch weather boosted, evolve them, and then try them out, especially if they have the right move sets. So I recommend saving your TMs and saving your Stardust to really just try and catch Pokemon as close to the CP as possible, test it out and play and see if you even like it and how it performs. If you don't have an early tournament, also just let the meta settle, honestly. Like don't spend a bunch of Stardust and get set on your team 100%, get committed to the 6 Pokemon you will never change on for the whole month. Let it settle. For example, like let's say you think, oh my gosh, I love Linoone, Shadow Claw, Grass Knot, Dig, or Thunder, just great coverage. But what if Bibarel becomes the water meta Pokemon? Then Linoone doesn't beat it because of its Shadow Claw is not very effective. So it's important to anticipate what the meta is going to be, but really be like, oh yeah, Linoone's might be a really good pick. I'll try it out, see how it does. Battle against a lot of different people to see and find out its weaknesses. Don't just be like, yes, I found it and I will set on it, and then, oh, what? Everybody's only using normal type Pokemon? Oh, nobody's using anything that's weak to grass? Stuff like that. It's important to think ahead in the meta, but don't necessarily hard invest until you're for sure on it. Basically, you're looking for the slow, like the slow bro of this meta. And while looking for, again, like the slow bro of the Ferocious Cup, I recommend using benchmarkers. Benchmarkers are the things that are very strong in cups. And when measuring your ideas like Linoone or maybe something like Houndoom, you want to measure them off of the things that seem to be dominant currently in the cup that a lot of people are using. So last cup, again, it was that Marowak, Poliwrath, and Steelix. But then this cup, as of right now, I would argue that the 3 big ones are Alolan Ninetales with Charm, Umbreon, and one of the water type users, which the 2 easiest to measure are going to be Vaporeon and Bibarel. So my early impressions. Since the Ferocious Cup has this large spread that's not type based, it really feels a lot like General Great League. Now, I've been playing those once a month with my Go Stadium lobbies. Again, it's the whole thing of there's a lot of different typings. You're looking for a lot of side grades, soft counters. The pacing of this cup also feels just a little bit slower than some of the other previous cups. Moves like Water Gun has medium energy gain, and moves like Charm have low energy gain but high damage per attack. That's kind of the pacing right now. Shield usage also seems to be like it's not like Sinister Cup where it's like, oh man, is this Steelix going to crunch me or earthquake me? Is it going to one-shot me or not one-shot me? This one feels a lot more of, I'm going to hit you with this charge move, which will take off a big chunk of your HP. Is that worth your shield? Or is this Pokemon not as important to you for beating my 6 or my 3 that I'm using at this time? So deciding how you can budget your shields and trying to be creative with that is going to probably be the keys to success in this cup. My predictions of how the meta is going to develop now past that is that because energy gain seems to be on the low end currently, higher energy gain moves that will force shield usage, and mistakes will break the current meta, whether that be users who are using Powdered Snow, Mud Shot, or Thunder Shock. Regardless, moves like that will have very high charge move usage to then make it so that it is going to the complete opposite of kind of what's going on with like charm users. Another thing that I think is going to be very important in this cup, because now it's been found out and there's actually information on it, is QSA, or queued sequence attacking. It's this way that you can tap your charge move once and it will not activate it, but it will queue it up immediately after your opponent uses the charge move. And what it does is it negates the chance for your opponent to piggyback when you're using your charge move. Now, piggybacking can be huge, especially if fast moves are high energy, slow, like Confusion, or they are high DPS, like Charm. Because let's say you have a Raichu, it gets charmed by Ninetales one more time, that's going to be like 1/10 of your HP for you missing a turn. So it can be a huge deal breaker. So ways to negate piggybacking, like QSA, could be huge. Also, to take note that a meta shift is probably imminent at the middle of this month. Pokemon Sword and Shield, the main series games, are going to be released on Switch, and it's highly likely, and I believe in the game code, that some Galarian forms of basically some of the Pokemon we have right now in Pokemon Go will have their own Galarian forms, including the Ponyta family and the Zigzagoon family. So the one that's most important out of those two specifically is the Zigzagoon or Linoon, which is supposedly dark type. So perhaps that could be another way that you could have a counter or something that's similar to Umbreon, or maybe it has a lot of different coverage moves like the current Linoon. So keeping that in mind, that that Pokemon will be released and it will be available in the cup. Keep in mind that Team Rocket teasers have been coming out. Professor Willow's Twitter and everything has been talking about the Team Rocket scanner and whatnot. So who knows, if they maybe release a new batch of Shadow Pokemon, there might be some Pokemon with return that could have a high influence on the current meta as well. My advice for the end of this video, number one, even though Battle Hero says it's super valuable and there's a lot of discussions, especially around Ninetales and Vaporeon, on where their breakpoints are in terms of IVs, for right now, do not worry about IVs. Sure, hatch 7Ks, trade your Alolan Vulpixes and EVs to try and get that perfect combo, but for right now in testing, the most important thing is testing. Becoming familiar with the Pokemon, becoming familiar with what moves all the Pokemon have. Save your dust and TMs, so that once you have a better idea and you're for sure this Pokemon's going on your team, you can then spend the resources as such. Right now, I'm using like a 93% IV Minoon, just because I caught it in the wild and it's 1400 CP. I do have one that's a lot more optimal, but it would end up costing me 200,000. So I'm currently using the one without a second charge move, but it's providing me a good basis of knowing how about it performs. The two specific moves and Pokemon that you want to get practice on early on and understand how the matchups work are charm users like Granbull, Alolan Ninetales, and Delcatty, because it's such a unique move. It's like Razor Leaf, it just hits really hard but it's really slow. You don't want to fail switches because of the slow animation as well. And the other special move set that you want to keep in mind is Suicune with Bubble Beam. Now Bubble Beam is a low damage move that debuffs your opponent regardless of if they shield or not by 25%. Now that doesn't sound that great in this game in terms of, oh, it's a 25% debuff, but realize that if you're putting this into the context of any other game, a 25% damage attack debuff is insane. People who are able to master how to use Suicune, or if you're not used to getting debuffed with your damage, you're going to hit that earthquake and then it's not going to one-shot their Pokemon and they will beat you. Be ready and know about how your fast moves and charge moves are affected by that. The legacy moves to be aware of, there are 3 specifically. Thundershock Raichu, just higher energy gain, that's the main thing you need to know, but look at those sims. Fury Cutter Nidoking, now it's unique because it has a bug move, does a little bit better against darks. Last Resort Umbreon, which is what makes it a truly oppressive pick. Regular Umbreon is okay, but Last Resort Umbreon makes it so it tips some of its other dark counterparts matchups. And again, because there are so many different moves and so many new Pokemon that are in these lower tiers, that like knowing that Delcatty has Wild Charge, knowing that it's Rapidash that has Drill Run, knowing these sorts of things will make it so even because the number of Pokemon is so great and the typings are so great, knowing the weird moves that they have is going to be important for you not being caught off guard by something off meta that you haven't practiced against. So you know that Linoone is going to hit you with a Grass Knot and be super effective to your Donphan, rather than saying, oh, well, I think it just probably has a normal type move. Thank you again for listening. It's been awesome seeing the view count slowly rising on all of these videos. Share it with your friends. I also really do think that this cup is great for beginners. There's so many Pokemon with 10k dust charge moves that you can catch high or weather boosted in the wild. Everybody has probably a field research Suicune, so it's a great chance to really start trying cheap cup to try. While most people don't think it is, I think once we let the meta settle down just a little bit, it definitely can be. Getting new people playing, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time, and keep an eye out for my Disneyland video and Colossal Research.